Welcome to Eye on America. I'm Michelle Miller. Today we spotlight stories of those impacting their community and Mother Nature in different ways. We traveled to Illinois to see how reparations are helping close the racial wealth gap. And we visit a lab in California growing a material making an impact on fashion and the environment. First, we take you to Philadelphia, a city grappling with a surge in gun violence in recent years. But Jerika Duncan introduces us to a pastor leading his neighbors in an effort to be violence interrupters.
Thank you all for coming out tonight to our Corners to Connections initiative. It's night 10.
On this Friday night, in the shadow of darkness and flashing lights, 37-year-old pastor G. Lamar Stewart organizes faith leaders and volunteers.
It happened to me on Juneteenth of 2021. My 23-year-old son, Evan Baylor, was gunned down in front of my house.
This is a 30-day violence interruption initiative.
To walk through Philadelphia neighborhoods plagued by gun violence.
Group 1, Lisa, Group 2, Kelly, Group 3.
Split in different groups, these 22 violence interrupters patrol the streets from 9 to 11.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Introducing themselves to neighbors and handing out flyers about an upcoming job fair.
We're having a job fair on the 30th. If you know anybody looking for work, boom.
Got a job.
We're gonna be right here.
People have kids young, so they don't know what to do. We turn around, try to find somewhere to work, trying to get a job, and it's hard for us, just because of the color of our skin.
And we're out here beating these streets, beating this pavement, because we believe in y'all generation.
And that's the main goal, to directly meet and reach as many young black men as possible, the ones most at risk of falling victim to the streets.
People are used to someone maybe coming up saying, here's some information, putting a flyer in their hand. But what young people need is a constant presence and someone who's going to follow up. What should we be doing to help your generation, one, avoid the life of the streets, and two, to help get you all where you want to be?
I mean, me personally, I say try to get the youth to try to get into different activities.
I met a group of people similar to y'all, you know what I'm saying, that came up to me, and they didn't stop, you know what I'm saying? I rejected them first time, but they didn't stop, you know what I'm saying? So it's always good to know that you still care.
I lost my son the same age as you. So it's important to hear what can we do or what can be done.
How were you able to garner that strength to come out here?
There are some days that are very difficult, like his birthday, devastating. People who keep committing these heinous crimes understand that while you took a life that you may have been mad about that day, look at the people that you leave behind. And can you look at them in the face? Like, whoever took my son's life, can they look me in the face and say that it was okay to do that? No, it's not.
18-year-old Wayne Lee Prouder III graduated from high school just hours earlier. Instead of celebrating, he came out to volunteer.
I'm out here because I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. We shouldn't have to do this. It's like we can't keep depending on our older generation. It's time for this generation to actually step up and do what they have to do.
These are our kids. These are our nephews. These are our sons. These are our daughters, our nieces. And we understand that we have a responsibility as a church and church community. We have a responsibility as a society to wrap our arms around them.
Do you ever lose hope?
I may lose hope in man, but I never lose hope in God. I may lose hope in government, but I may never lose hope in God.
We turn now to a fascinating story in California, where rescued wolves are paired with at-risk teens to help them learn valuable life lessons like forgiveness, acceptance, and trust. Jonathan Vigliotti shows us the power of wolf therapy.
At an animal sanctuary in the mountains north of Los Angeles, the haunting howl of a wolf comes to life.
She's not shy.
I've never been looked by a wolf before,
right.
so I think I'm actually enjoying
this.
Teo Alfaro runs Wolf Connection and spends his days rescuing and rehabilitating wolf dogs.
These two came from came to us as pups, and we've been loving them since. So neither one of these know the bad side of humans. Some other wolves that we have here are, like I said, shy and skittish, but none of them are vicious. So this is Gemma.
Alfaro, who studies the animal's behavior, says science supports what indigenous tribes have long recognized, that humans and wolves have been working together for tens of thousands of years.
So the wolf helps us activate a primal side of us that is more connected, more grounded, more clear-minded. We consider the wolf the healer of the human heart.
Alfaro nurtured the wolves. He then created the first wolf therapy model, a holistic approach that helps both the abused wolves and teens. And he says it's been 100% safe for program participants.
People, some of your audience will go, well, what if a kid gets mauled by a wolf, right? We put thousands of hours on each wolf before they become part of the program. And in 13 years, we have a 0 incident history.
In order to be okay with who I am, I need to know who I am.
Amanda Beer, a licensed psychologist, is the program's director.
When we talk about release, it's really about acceptance.
In this exercise, teens choose a rock
I got mine.
that embodies their inner turmoil, then lug that burden up the mountain.
It's my stress.
Like the wolves, many here carry emotional scars and feel hurt, angry, and alone.
So the wolves that come here have an array of trauma, and we see the same thing in the youth that come here, from severe physical abuse, neglect, sexual abuse, and then also young people who have never been able to be seen because the humans in their life want them to be something other than who they are.
She shares stories of the resilience of wolves.
It's just natural for wolves to accept the past to make room for new things.
Then the teens symbolically release their pain.
Sorrow.
When Edward Amaya enrolled in Wolf Connection's 8-week program, he carried the weight of witnessing his uncle's murder.
As a kid, I lost a lot of people. I watched family members pass away. I had my only uncle that took care of me in my arms pass away. I held on to those deaths very close. And I think that's probably why I didn't socialize, because I didn't want that to happen again.
Reluctant at first, he joined the pack around a medicine wheel, a sacred space where it's believed the body and spirit come together for healing.
I just started crying, and everything just came out. It was a big turn for me, being able to do that.
Just being in the presence of wolves has been life-changing for many of these teens. Julia Gomez says she felt neglected as a child and today battles anxiety and depression. But the poise and power of this wolf, Annie, inspired her to push on.
Even though she was missing one of her limbs, she was still a warrior, and which really connected to me. She gave me the courage to keep persevering.
Amaya and Gomez are now working at Wolf Connection, knowing firsthand how the program helped them to grow.
Regret. And what was that moment like, and you released all of that?
It felt like I just let like 100 pounds off my shoulders. It felt like a new power, like it felt like a superpower almost.
We call it hiking. For the wolves, is migrating.
Hiking with wolves, hearing them howl, leads to breakthroughs every day.
You can see it in their face. They're almost like, oh.
In that moment, you saw humans change.
In that moment, I saw miracles happening right in front of my eyes.
Coming up, in the wake of the Supreme Court's abortion ruling, we look at a shelter finding new ways to help pregnant women in crisis. This is Eye on America. We take a closer look now at special maternity housing in Virginia, assisting expectant mothers who don't know where else to go. Jan Crawford went to St. Mary's Shelter to see it firsthand.
In 2014, Shantae Mallory lost her job. She had 2 young kids at home and couldn't pay her rent. When she got pregnant again, she decided to have an abortion.
It wasn't what I wanted to do. It was just at the moment, that's what everybody was telling me to do. So I feel like that was really my only option.
Then she found out about Mary's Shelter.
It changed my life.
It changed your life?
It gave me a new start. I didn't have to give up or get rid of a child that I knew I wanted just because things got hard. I didn't have a support system.
25-year-old Logan Wilkins also found Mary's shelter in a moment of hopelessness.
I was sleeping behind a dumpster at my job.
You're literally sleeping behind a dumpster?
Yes. I was literally sleeping behind a dumpster 8 months pregnant.
How were you able to survive?
It was really difficult. Sorry.
We turn no one away because we know that their situation at that moment is just that desperate.
Kathleen Wilson started Mary's Shelter 16 years ago. More than 300 women have come through their doors, some staying up to 3 years in fully furnished shared homes and apartments with their children.
We have another kitchen upstairs.
While they get parenting training and help with employment and housing.
When they leave here, that independent lifestyle becomes, a real viable reality for them, as opposed to just, well, you had the baby and you're done, which is not the way any of the ministries I know work.
Women come from up and down the East Coast to stay here, including a woman and her children who arrived unannounced from Florida the day of our visit. Wilson, who opposes abortion, say with states now free to ban or restrict abortion, more women will need help. But pregnancy shelters are not for every situation.
Are you concerned that women will be forced into unwanted pregnancies?
No, I don't. I think that there will be some. I hope that they'll reach out to other agencies, like maybe an adoption agency, or that families will step up. I think we'll have to increase support groups for moms like those.
This is not a solution for every woman who potentially may not be able to have an abortion.
Right. No, not everybody needs a home. Not everybody needs to move out of their house. Not everybody needs to leave a violent situation. But we can help those that are having abortions because they feel hopeless.
I had no motivation. I didn't have any kind of guidance.
Mallory, now 31 with 5 daughters, says Mary's Shelter helped her find purpose.
I'm in Bible college studying for theology. I also am a peer recovery coach, so I help those that are battling with addictions, traumas from sexual abuse or just past traumas.
Wilkins, now a mother of 4, returned to Mary's Shelter for the second time last December while pregnant with her son Leon. He is 3 months old.
I just got a new job where in the career field that I want to be in, the medical field.
So what are you doing?
I am a scheduler, but I'm getting my medical billing and coding certification in 4 months.
What's the message of your story?
That there is hope, that there are places around that can help you, that, having an abortion isn't the final answer.
What about you?
Abortion isn't the final answer. There's so many other options, and to be quite honest, it is literally all worth it when you have that baby.
The march toward racial and economic equality continues. A recent study found Black Americans have 1/6 the wealth of white Americans per capita. Adriana Diaz looks at how one city is trying to narrow the gap.
This is what trying to narrow the wealth gap can look like. Ramona Burton is one of 16 eligible residents picked in a lottery to receive $25,000 in reparations.
Is it enough for reparations?
It's a start, but I don't think it's enough for all minorities have been put through.
In 2019, Evanston, Illinois was the first in the nation to implement reparations, an effort to address harms from slavery to discriminatory housing policies. The money can only go toward mortgages or repairing homes in an effort to increase minority property value.
How long have you been wanting to get this roof fixed?
It's been a while.
Robin Rue Simmons championed reparations here. She now runs First Repair, helping other communities do the same.
For people who don't understand why Black Americans should receive compensation or restitution, what do you say to them?
The United States has harmed the Black community for 403 years. Eras of terror and harms, and so repair is necessary. Equity has not been enough.
Economist Alora de Renencourt, one of the authors of the study Wealth of Two Nations, says without change, the gap will grow wider.
Black Americans are concentrated at the bottom of the income and wealth distributions in the U.S., and so as a group have not shared equally in these gains in the economy in the past 30 or 40 years.
So are these your new windows here?
Yes, that's a new one. That's a new one.
Burton used some of her grant money to replace her windows, but says the repairs are largely emotional.
It's kind of a way of an apology or admitting we've been wrong in the past. It doesn't wipe away what my ancestors had to go through, but it doesn't hurt.
An attempt to restore after a history of harm.
After the break, so-called leather that comes from mushroom farms, not cattle ranches. One of the hottest new trends in fashion may come from a climate change fighting fungus. Lilia Luciano visited a California lab growing what's known as mushroom leather.
Out west, where cattle ranches have long held sway, cowhide leather may be losing its luster.
You can't grow a cow to spec.
Yeah,
Cows just do what they do.
Yeah.
So that is what was remarkable about a natural material that you can grow to form.
But this material is made from mushrooms under the watchful eyes of Bay Area technicians.
Definitely feels like leather.
Bolt Threads is one company engineering mushroom leather through mycelium, the underground network of fibers that is the basis of mushrooms. From Lululemon to Stella McCartney and Adidas, the company is turning heads with what their plant-based leather is capable of.
It's a phenomenal material. Everybody loves their leather, whether it's for their clothes or their car.
CTO David Breslauer is approaching the issue from a scientist's perspective. He says leather is a huge industry to take on, but the fashion world has always embraced innovation, especially the kind that helps fight climate change.
The fewer cows we grow industrially, the less emissions we're going to have. So there's a huge impact to climate change. And for almost all major fashion brands, their biggest contributor to greenhouse gas emissions are from the cows that make their leather.
And then there's deforestation.
And there's deforestation, biodiversity loss, ecological collapse. The list goes on and on.
But in order for consumers to adopt mushroom leather, it needs to be durable, workable, and most importantly, look and feel like the real thing.
So we were getting really, really close with this material to having something completely looking like leather.
Beatrice Ambillard is a leather artisan with 4 decades of experience and says this keeps with the trend of finding plant-based alternatives to what we eat and wear.
I believe people are ready for changes, they're ready for innovation. For me, combining old techniques with biomaterials is an incredible opportunity.
What's that like for you?
This is amazing. It's an incredible feeling. It's combining the two.
She works with MycoWorks, another Bay Area company that's got the fashion industry doing double takes.
I see this material working everywhere where leather goes.
Sophia Wang and her co-founder Phil Ross have been pushing the boundaries of leather since 2003. Their proprietary reishi leather appears close to the real thing.
What kind of testing are you guys doing to make sure that it is durable?
We do accelerated wear testing, exposing reishi to the elements just to demonstrate that this material is competitive to leather in terms of durability and strength and resistance.
Their product finds purpose, from potentially life-saving sheets interwoven with bulletproof Kevlar to incorporating conductive wiring in the fibers, allowing for smart fashion that connects to your devices. And even leather enmeshed with gold thread for, well, you know.
One of those $100,000 designer bags they need to justify.
Redefining luxury. We work with our partners to actually grow our materials to those customized needs, which is not something you can do with any other natural material.
She says that if you can think of a luxury brand, they've probably worked with them, like Hermès, the high priest of French leather products. The company worked with the storied brand on an iconic bag in 2021. It all points to a future where guilt-free fashion could be the norm. And instead of traditional leather on our back or in our hand, we'll be making room for mushrooms.
We close the show with some clever marketing from Middle America. You've heard the term flyover states. Well, some innovative Nebraskans put a spin on that idea that might just boost tourism. Barry Peterson has their story.
Over 1 million Nebraskans live in places we like to call cities, where we enjoy amenities like electricity, running water, zoos, gardens, the arts.
Nebraska is selling itself this summer by poking fun at itself. And the man who helped invent the ads is John Ricks, who runs the state's Tourism Commission.
Did people really think that Nebraska was only farmland and no cities?
Absolutely. And we had to be unexpected, edgy, and even risky to some extent. But it's working.
The people of Nebraska take great pleasure in things that are a little, shall we say, unusual.
Part of a 4-year campaign that mixes a dash of odd with a last line that will make you wonder.
Nebraska, honestly, it's not for everyone.
Do you think you encourage people to pay more attention because you said to some of them maybe they wouldn't care?
There were a number of perceptions out there, and they were basically flat and boring, nothing to do, flyover country, dusty plains, and then you basically tell them the real story, which is the truth that there's a lot of fun things to do here.
Adventure is out there. Come find it in the land of great faces and great places.
Across America, states touting tourism stretch from the Great Plains of South Dakota.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today.
To the great cities in a TV commercial war between the states. And with the end of the pandemic, travel is back to booming, says Tori Emerson Barnes from the U.S. Travel Association.
91% of American travelers have a trip planned in the next 6 months.
Lucky for you, we invent things to do, like when we realized a livestock tank would float.
Meanwhile, in Nebraska, their $4 million a year spent on marketing is generating $250 million in state and local tax revenues from tourism.
Nebraska is kind of like that odd kid.
So in a state trying hard to get a few laughs,
you're going to like it here. Nebraska.
They're laughing all the way to the bank.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news 24/7, stream us right here on CBS News. I'm Michelle Miller. Thank you for watching Eye on America.